All right, everybody. I seem to be received everyone's presidential portfolio or spoken with you if you're turning it in later in the week. So good job on that. Remember, that's a 2-point mini quiz or a project grade, so it counts on 100% of your grade side. So make sure you get that to me. And thanks for all the kids who've done the Spain in the New World book work where you had to look for topic sentences and bold words. So this week, I think we're going to continue on with this idea of how the Spanish in European countries like France and England really had an impact on the Western Hemisphere and really the history of the world. What's known as the Columbian Exchange is basically connecting big events of the 1500s and maybe even beyond with Christopher Columbus. That's why it's called the Columbian Exchange. So the word exchange means things going back and forth, and this all begins when the Spanish arrive in the New World, basically in the 1500s. So the Columbian Exchange is the passing back and forth of plants and animals, ideas, and diseases from the Old World to the New World. All right, so for example, as we've talked about in class and online, horses were definitely an Old World animal, but they were brought over to the New World, meaning the Americas, by the Spanish. So someone living in the Americas, let's say Florida or Mexico, would have never seen a horse until the Spanish brought them over. And the same thing goes to say for the Spanish. They would have never seen a llama or an alpaca until they arrive in the New World. And then they see all kinds of new animals and plants and insects, and things like that. And many of these are taken back to the Old World. And this back and forth of all of these creatures and even some bad things like diseases is known as the Columbian Exchange. All right, so it's a huge event that's going to change the world because now for the first time we have a certain type of animal or plant in the New World that had never been there before, that the Europeans brought over either on purpose or by accident. Same thing with Europe. There's going to be things taken back that had never been there before, and they might take them back on purpose or on accident. But either way, it's definitely a huge deal. For example, did you know that there wouldn't have been any dandelions in the New World? You know, those little annoying yellow weed flowers that grow in your yard in the spring if you don't treat your yard. Well, those were brought over by the Spanish. Like there was never dandelions in the New World until the Spanish brought them over. You know what happens with dandelions, right? They get all white and puffy, and then you can blow on them and their little seeds fly in the wind. Well, some of those seeds must have been in the Spanish blankets or in boxes or cargo barrels or something. And when they were brought to the New World, they took flight, and dandelions have been living in the New World since then, spreading like weeds, I guess. So what you're going to do this week is I want you to think about making a chart, all right, a chart about the Columbian Exchange. You're going to have 25 items on this chart that clearly show whether that animal or plant was Old World, meaning it existed in the Old World, or it was New World, like the Europeans had never seen it until they arrive in the New World. Right, this is not hard. There's probably 1,000,000,004 different charts already out there on the Columbian Exchange. You can find it on the internet. But your task is to set your own unique one up from scratch. You can't use one that already exists. Of course, you can use the information that's on these charts, but you create your own chart, however you want to set that up, and you're going to need to tell whether it's Old World or New World. So we'll take horses, for example. We'll just use that one, and then, of course, you can't use this one in yours, but horses were Old World, meaning they existed in the Old World, and they were brought to the New World. So horses would fall under Old World. You also have to figure out how to get 5 hand-drawn pictures into your chart. So if you're just doing your chart on paper and you're just making it and you just draw your pictures, you take a picture of your picture that you've drawn and then you send it to me. But if you're creating your chart online, you got to be smart enough to figure out how to get 5 hand-drawn images into your chart. And I don't think I need to tell you how to do that. You'll figure that out. So again, if you just make an old school poster on paper, then you'll just need to send me an image of that. If you do a chart, you're going to need to share it with me or figure out a way to share a link with me or something like that. But you need 5 hand-drawn images. And of course, color is a must. Got to have color. So remember, an Old World plant or animal is something that existed in Europe, Africa, or Asia and was brought to the New World by the Spanish. That's Old World. A New World animal or plant is one that existed in the Americas and Spain took back to Europe. Okay, so again, you're creating a chart, and it can have a mixture of Old and New World on it. You just have to clearly identify what is what, and then 5 hand-drawn colorful images. And of course, with all of our projects, jazz hands are a must. So this is probably about a 5-point quiz type grade, project grade. So you'll probably do pretty good. Most of you will get like 4 out of 5 because you're not going to make it snazzy enough. You're going to want to really punch this up, jazz hand it. So 25 items, 5 hand drawn, and make sure you clearly set your chart up as Old World or New World. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me. Some of you will see me in class this week. So there's that. This is going to be due next Monday. So this is something you're working on when you're not necessarily with me in class. All right, so create your Columbian exchange, Old World, New World, animal plant chart.